Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing a GeForce GTX 1080 in Gray Zone Warfare. This one is the Asus ROG Strix version of the card. We are running it with the latest Nvidia drivers and I'm not manually overclocking it. You can see all of its specs right here in TechPowerUp's GPU-Z. It has 8GB of GDDR5X memory, and over on the left we're pairing it with a Ryzen 9 7950X3D with half of its cores disabled, so it's basically the same as Ryzen 7 7800X3D instead. And on the memory tab we're using 32GB of DDR5 6000MHz RAM in dual channel. Now these are very overkill specs, but it's just so we don't bottleneck the GTX 1080. It's an old card at this point, so even like a Ryzen 5 5600X, for example, won't bottleneck it. Now, something interesting that I noticed here, guys, is that if we go to the store page of this game right now and scroll down here to the minimum requirements, previously on the minimum requirements, it asked for the GeForce GTX 1088GB and the RX 5700 as well as the ARC A770, but now they added the 2060 Super, the 3060 8GB model, which is slower than the 12GB model, and then the 4060. And the 4060 is like what, 15-20% faster than the 3060 12GB. Then the 3060 8GB is around 15-20% slower than the 12GB, and the 2060 Super 8GB is in between, and then the 1080 is there. I don't know why it's there, honestly. It's way slower than the RTX 4060. It's also slower than the 3060 these days. Also slower than 2060 Super, of course. Why? Developers, make up your mind. What is the minimum requirements GPU? The 1080 or the 4060? Come on. Anyway, moving on. Let's play the game now, shall we? Alright, let's start by going through the settings. We're playing at 1080p resolution with the lowest settings because, well, this is the minimum requirements GPU. Over on the NTA listing, I set it to TSR. The AA is turned off right there, and the 3D resolution is set to 100%. If you select TSR over here, you need to change the 3D resolution because it defaults to 67%. But now it's native 1080p res. Okay, here we have it getting 34, 35 frames per second. But guys, look at the textures. So I think they recommend this one for the minimum requirements GPU because it has 8GB of VRAM. So we solved the mystery of the minimum requirements. It just asks for an 8GB GPU basically. Because with the RTX 2060 we were seeing around these FPS actually, maybe slightly higher frames than these, but the textures were completely broken on the low settings, and these are still low textures by the way. The 2060, oh my god, this always happens in this area right here, okay? It's just loading and compiling the shaders because they don't do it with like a preloading shaders feature. They just do it on the fly, which is absolutely ridiculous. Please, developers, compile the shaders before we get to the gameplay. That would fix these horrible stutters. Anyway, what was I talking about? The 2060 definitely looked worse than this, but it also performed slightly better than this. So I don't know. I still don't think the 1080 should be the minimum requirements GPU, guys. I mean, it is handling it okay for what it is, an almost 80-year-old GPU, right? But it can also do much better in other titles, so it's a bit unfortunate to see this kind of performance, and it might actually drop from 30 FPS from time to time since it's near the 30 FPS mark very often, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm not feeling this, guys. I mean, maybe this... Okay, come on, oh boy, there we go. I need some weapons. Right, now we got a weapon so we can do something, but yeah, it will inevitably drop from 30 FPS, and I think the minimum requirements should ask for something a little bit more. Maybe just remove the GTX 1080 from there. I guess that's what I'd do, right? Like a 2060 Super should be a little bit more capable than this, since the 2060 was roughly the same as this. I wouldn't really recommend you to play like this, honestly. If you have a GTX 1080, upgrade your GPU or wait for performance patches in this game. They are supposedly focusing on optimization right now, and I hope to see an improvement in that regard. starting with the shader compilation, please. Now, with the 2060, there was an area where it dropped massively to like 19 frames per second. I'm not sure if it's gonna happen here. Probably not, actually, because I'm not going to the same area. It's really far away. I went there by chopper. But yeah, the 2060 dropped a ton of FPS in a single area. Probably because... oh boy, I might die here. I might die. Okay, one down. There's another one right there. Probably because it's a 6 GB GPU and the VRAM wasn't enough. Seriously? Seriously? How many bullets do you need to die? Come on. Come on. Come on. I'm coming. I'm gonna kill you, bastard. There we go. No, come, die. Die. I shot you 300 times and I knifed you 300 more times. What are you doing alive, bro? All right, I'm gonna try it with some FSR here on quality first. Or should we do frame generation first? No, let's do FSR quality, which renders the game at 67% resolution scale. That is 720p resolution internally. It looks really pixelated, especially around the grass over here. You can definitely see it when I'm moving here. But I mean, you do get 10 more FPS, so... this is now playable in terms of frames. It's going to be very, very hard for you to spot people at the distance. So keep that in mind. But it makes sure that it won't drop from 30 FPS, actually. Sorry. Any time, okay? I'm going to try to kill another guy somewhere around here. And grab their weapons as well, because the pistol won't gonna cut it, you know? Wait, I got 8 bullets here, and what about inside of the pistol? 7. Okay, let's see. That body over there. Maybe he has some weapons. I really hope so. Come over here. Ugh, it's one of those really bad ones, but, well, I guess I'll take it. Here we go, I'm moving towards the shots. Come on, let's help our friends, right? They're probably shooting at the other bad guys. Oh my god, so stuttery right here. Oh my god, stop it. Game, stop compiling the freaking shaders. I'm playing it now. You shouldn't be doing this now. Oh boy, anyway. Yeah, it will drop into the 20s whenever there are stuttering issues. And that's often, so yeah. It's bad, guys. It's not in a very good state. It's in early access, of course, but I have seen better early access games in terms of stability and so on. I wouldn't really buy this if you don't have like an RTX 40 series GPU or RX 6700 XT and up. I would avoid this. And honestly, even if you do have those, I will say maybe you shouldn't buy these either, because you don't want to support this. The more often games are broken and people buy them anyways, the more this will happen. And that's absolutely terrible, of course. Now, I'm gonna enable frame generation on top of native AA here in FSR. Yeah, this is very similar to what we saw with the RTX 2060 in terms of stability. Again, 50-something, 60 sometimes. But the input lag right now is absolutely awful, guys. Okay, it's basically getting the input lag of 30 or 25 FPS, basically half of the FPS that we're seeing here. So it's definitely not ideal. Just moving around is difficult with this input lag, because I don't know where my mouse is gonna land, honestly. It's kind of like you're playing with mouse acceleration as well. Because you start moving and then you stop moving your mouse, but it still keeps going. Let's stop it there. I don't recommend this once again. And let's try it with like quality FSR and frame generation on top of it, which makes things even more blurry and pixelated than previously. But now at least we can get 70 FPS. Still not feeling amazing. Again, you really want like 75, 80 plus FPS all of the time with frame generation enabled for it to be a good experience. But hey, it helps it a little bit. If you hate 30 FPS, the visibility of 30 FPS, the smoothness basically, and you play with 70 FPS with frame generation, it feels a little bit better. God, die. God, I'm really. God, sometimes I don't understand this game. Stop! Die, dude! Jesus! You gotta be kidding me! Is it like server issues or something? Does it not register my shots? Okay, finally, he's dead. Holy crap, did you see how long it took? All right, anyway, like, the 75, I think, is the magic number in this game with frame generation, honestly. Hello. Oh, I'm so low HP right now. I'm gonna drink some water as well. But yeah, sometimes, like, right here, we're getting 80 frames per second. It feels all right, but here we're getting, like, 65, 68. It's not amazing, really. Like, I'm not sure if I would play with frame generation in this one. It also smooths out the frame time graph a little bit. It's much smoother than it was previously with 30 FPS and a lot of spikes here and there. So maybe this is the best way to play with GTX 1080, but it's gonna be rough either way, guys. I can't recommend this. Okay, maybe with a controller you might get away with it, but I'm not sure if this game works with a controller yet. But yeah. Usually, games on console are a little bit input laggy, at least in the PS3 days when I was on console. I could feel a lot of input lag. Maybe it was my TV, I don't remember, because I had an older TV that didn't really have much input lag, but my newer one had. But I mean, you could play with a controller and get away with it, I guess. If your standards are very, very low, it's gonna look smooth. It just has a frick ton of input lag. And that's been it. This is the result with the slowest minimum requirements GPU. Because now there are 4 of them, or 5, maybe more, actually. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. I wouldn't buy this with a 1080, but it's up to you. You saw the results now. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with me, or do you find this playable? Of course, you're not really feeling the input lag, so yeah. Catch you in the next one. Love you all. Bye-bye.